Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Uncle Traveling Matt, and welcome to this very special edition of Pilgrims on the Digital Path. I'm not with Mary Michelle, who normally sits with me, but I've got two very exciting guests with me today. They're zooming in all the way from Israel, and their names are Yael and Golan, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and explain why we're talking today. Over to you.
No, I'm starting. Yes. Okay. My name is Golan Rice from Israel, and Yael, my good friend of mine, and I, a year ago was starting to create Camino a Jerusalem, the way to Jerusalem, a pilgrimage way to Jerusalem, and how it started. I think this is the amazing things, how it all began, how it was initiated. And this is like a pilgrimage story, the same like the pilgrimage way to Jerusalem itself. Do you want to say something?
You start, then
okay.
I will introduce myself
after. It all began, like all the stories all began a year and a half ago when I decided to leave everything here in Israel and to go to Spain and to walk the Camino de Santiago. So I started to walk the Camino de Santiago, the Frances way, from Saint-Jean-Pied de Port in France to Santiago, and then I continued to Finisterre, 900 kilometers. And when I finished to walk, I did in 43 days. I was amazed by the powerful that the pilgrimage way has and the effect on the people that do this walk. I returned to Israel and started to write a book about my inner Camino, my inner way in this pilgrimage way. And after I think I wrote more than a half of the book, I heard a call and I returned to Spain and started to walk another Camino. And I started from Cadiz to Santiago. It's 1,200 kilometers, and I did it in 47 days. And my second Camino was in the purpose to finish my book. So I got to Santiago, come back to Israel, finish my book, and then I spoke with Yael that helped me a lot about, and we decided that let's talk about another way of pilgrimage, that it's Rome. And if I did the two Camino de Santiago, now I want to go to Rome. So we start to plan the Via Franciscana to Rome. And I think everything started 10 months ago when we sat one evening and talk about the Camino de Santiago, talk about Via Franciscana, talk about the pilgrimage way in the ancient time and what is the pilgrimage way in modern time. And then we looked at each other and asked the question that leads us until today. And the question is, how can it be? How can it be that there is a Camino, a pilgrimage way to Santiago, and there is a pilgrimage way to Rome, and there is no pilgrimage way to Jerusalem? And if Rome and Santiago are Christian old pilgrimage way, Jerusalem was a destination for pilgrims for all the countries, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim. And yeah, that was 10 months ago.
Hi, I'm Yael. My name is Yael. Golan and I are very good friends for more than 12 years. We work together. And when people ask me if I did the Camino of Santiago, I answer very proudly that I did. I didn't do it physically, but I did it through the experience of Golan, because we're good friends. And when he came back, I helped him with his book. I come from another field that is mentoring, and I I don't know if it's the correct word, but I escort people into their own development process. Together with Golan this year, one of the things we have made is a model of mentoring in schools, in communities, with the understanding or with the assumption that each community has its own resources that the community needs, meaning doesn't need any resources from outside. So when we come to a community, to a group of people, to school, to a neighborhood, we find the strong people in the community. We give them more tools, we enforce them so they can help their communities. And his physical way of the way of Santiago, together with the process that he's been through, and the friendship leads us to the understanding, like Golan said, the meaning, the powerful meaning of somebody that is doing a pilgrimage way. Because what is a pilgrimage way? A pilgrimage way is a community way, is a physical way that is not necessarily very beautiful, all nature or not nature. On the contrary, a pilgrimage way passes through the communities, because a person who is going through his destination, is very important and significant destination, is passing through the communities, sleep there, talks with the people, know them, know their community, know the communities, and create a dialogue, a multicultural dialogue. And this was and still is the dream, and what motivate us to create a way that ends in Jerusalem. So each person from Israel or from any part in the world, regardless his religion, his gender, his belief, whether he's religious or not, from any religion, it can be atheist as well. He can go through a process, an inner process, passing through the Israeli community, knowing the Israeli community, until he gets his destination. And this is the process that Golan wrote in his book. This is the book. This is the first. It's the first book written by Jewish Israeli from the experience of a real pilgrimage way, because it has nothing got to do whether you are Christian or Jewish. It has got to do whether you give yourself to the way.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask, the book, is that available in English, or will it be available in English?
For now, it's available only in Hebrew, and I'm working on translate it to Spanish and to English.
Brilliant.
But yes, I think the unique of it is that it brings the inner story, the inner Camino of Israeli Jewish that walk this long pilgrimage way, the Christian pilgrimage way. It's Judaism with Christianity. It's me, Golan Rice, that walk with Santiago in the same way until Santiago de Compostela.
I mean, I wanted to ask that because obviously it is a Christian pilgrimage route, and there is a history of anti-Semitism in Spain a long time ago. But even so, so I wondered if that was an effect. But then, of course, Santiago himself was Jewish. So yeah,
exactly.
So the book is describe my inner journey. And of course, I mentioned the symbol, the history of the Camino de Santiago. I mentioned the Sea of Galilee, the place that Jacob, the son of Zebedee, this is Santiago, was born, and all the story. And in the end of the day, in my journey, I felt, and I wrote it in the book, that there are two persons that walk the Camino. One is this Israeli Jew that walked to Santiago, and there is Jacob, the son of Zebedee, that walk along with him, and maybe in the end of the book they become one. But
Wow.
yeah, this is the book, and for me, it's very powerful. And now it's in Israel, and
I think this is the base. Not I think, but this is the base of the way to Jerusalem, because the way to Jerusalem gives like a model of a process that you can go through, because all these stories, the religious stories, the historical stories, we don't check the history or the religion. We just deliver them as they are. It helps a person to go through a process. Like, for example, Algeria. Algeria is a Christian woman from the 4th century who did the pilgrimage way from Spain to Jerusalem by herself. And we give this story in order for every woman here in the way of Jerusalem can feel powerful and feel inspired by Algeria. And this is a very important process in the way.
Can I ask some questions? Because I love what you're saying, and we could talk about this for hours. But also, people watching this might want to know some practicalities. So I'm guessing you start at Yafo, Jaffa to Jerusalem. Yeah. How long is that, and how long would it take to walk?
Yeah. So what we did, we contact academic and professor from the Israeli University, archaeologic historians, and with them we track those ancient way. Of course, it's a lot of ancient way that walk to Jerusalem. But what we did, we decided to find and track the ancient road that come from the north. So we tracked it, and there is a way that starts from the north of Israel until Jerusalem. It's around 450 kilometers, and it's split to 4 parts. In this time, we are working to establish the fourth part. We call it the Silent Road, Camino de Santiago, and it starts from the old port of Jaffa and finished in Jerusalem.
In the gate of Jaffa in Jerusalem.
In the gate of Jaffa in Jerusalem, yes. And why the gate of Jaffa? Because it is a very important point to understand the unique of the Camino of Jerusalem. Because in Santiago, the final point are the big cathedral. In Rome, it's the cathedral. In Jerusalem belong to all the cultures, all the Christianity, Judaism, Muslim. So where it ends. So we decided that it will end in Jaffa Gate. And after you reach to Jaffa Gate, you enter Jaffa Gate, and then you go to the place that touch your heart. The Jewish go to the Western Wall, the Christian go to the Christian church, and the Muslim will go to their important place. So the Jaffa Gate, it's a gate. So this section starts from Jaffa, port of Jaffa, and final in Jaffa Gate. It's like a circle.
And how many days would that be, and how many kilometers?
It's 112 kilometers, and it's split to 6 recommended etapas, sections, 6 days, but of course you can do it in 7, 8 days, 4 days, depends. And it goes through historic places, important places that important to all
cultures and
religions.
So I guess would you go to the Shrine of St. George in Lod?
We go. It's the ways go. It starts from Jaffa, go to through Ramle, through Lod, through ancient place in Tel Gezer. There's very ancient archaeologic place. Go to Latrun, a mouse trail that's called up to Abu Ghosh, then in Karem, and then Jerusalem.
Okay, now I have a couple of questions, and I'm trying to be practical here. What is the average cost of accommodation for one night?
One of the things that we are working now is to bring such an accommodation like there is in Spain, that there it's called albergue to Israel, because Israel is very, very expensive. And what we are trying to do, and we are doing this, It's to approach to a places that will give the basic and clean things, a bed and a hot shower with very, very reasonable price.
Right.
So we are started now a few cooperation with those places on the way, and the costs are now between 100 to 200 shekel per night for
40, 50 euros.
euros, yes.
Okay.
For
I mean,
something like this.
that's a lot more than the Camino de Santiago, but if you compare with the way through Italy, that's quite competitive in terms of price.
Yeah.
And more than that, if you compare it to the prices in Israel, it's very cheap. And this is one of the important things because in the way to Jerusalem, we are based upon three pillars or three values that this what guides us. And the values are simplicity,
Humility?
humility. No, humility. Yes. How do you say it? Sorry.
Like being humble. Yeah.
Exactly. And gratitude. So when we go to these places and we engage them to our story, and this is one of the most wonderful things that we discover in this way, because Golan and I always say that for the last 10 months, we are doing a pilgrimage way. And the pilgrimage way is that we are working very hard. We're doing hard, yes, in brackets. We are doing a very meaningful way until our destination. Our destination is to achieve this way. And we go and we tell our story to churches and to places that will cooperate with us, and everyone engaged to this.
Okay, I know you're on your lunch hour, and I want to ask a couple of questions. We don't have long, but a couple of things. Is there a guidebook, or is it an app?
We are working on it. There is no such because it's only 10 months that we are working on it.
Okay.
We have a Facebook group that we put there all the details, and we have an Instagram page. And our goal is, of course, to open an internet site with all the way. We are now we walk this way from Jaffa port to Jerusalem twice. We did those twice walks as a pilot, and we are in 2 weeks. Next week we are doing the third time. The first time we did it with the Spanish pilgrimage, Christian pilgrimage. The second time we did it with our people from our community, the Facebook group. And the third time that we are doing in next week will be with a group of tour guides.
Oh, okay.
They will be like the ambassadors.
Okay.
And after this time, we will set the way, and we are preparing to upload.
Now, and so that's good, and I'll put all the links in below. But a bit of a difficult question here, but I think it's one that needs to be asked. I mean, I've been to Israel lots of times, and I think it's very safe. But a lot of people, if they watch the news, they've never been before, they might think, is this safe? How safe am I going to be? Is it, am I going to be, in trouble? I think I know the answer to this, but I want you to tell me.
I think it's a very important question because, first of all the time what you see on the media and on the news are bad things. Nobody will show you how safe it is and how fine it is. The reality, I think, first of all, the reality here in the matters of personal security is very safe. And when I try always to give an example, I give an example that when you go to Europe and you forget your purse or your mochila, after 10 seconds, it's gone. And here, when you forget your mochila, nobody touches it because everyone maybe are afraid that it can be something dangerous. Because this is a mentality that we are like grown upon, but it is not like this anymore. So what I want to say that here, when you go to travel, when you go in the street, your personal security is amazing. I think it's that you cannot compare it to anyone else. It doesn't mean that everyone is nice, nobody steals, yes, but your personal security is in a very high level, and it gives you security. The people are here very, very warm. Israel has its own difficulties, its own problems, but at the end of the day, the daily life here are not only normal, but I think the quality of the living in a security aspect is higher, and I lived abroad for more than 6 years. I was afraid of my personal security. Here I'm not. So
Okay.
I hope I answered the question.
Okay, yeah, I think so. Okay, look, I would love to talk more, but I think it's time to draw it to a close. What I'm going to do, if people want another future conversation with Yael and Golan, then maybe we can have one. But in the meantime, this is the introduction to the way to Jerusalem. I hope it generates some interest. I hope people will be contacting you, and I will put the details of your Facebook group on there. And let's build this, because you're right. The three great Christian routes in the medieval time was Santiago, Rome, and Jerusalem. And indeed, Santiago grew up because people couldn't get to Jerusalem at one time. Well, now you can. So go there and let's build another road of peace, another road of spirituality, another road of understanding. I think it's brilliant. So thank you very much for giving up your lunch break. This is Uncle Traveling Matt saying keep traveling and stay on the path.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Thank you.